You wake up already tired, not physically tired alone, but mentally exhausted in a way you cannot fully explain. Your room feels heavy. Your thoughts feel scattered. Small tasks feel strangely overwhelming. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow, you'll finally become disciplined. Tomorrow, you'll fix your habits, clean your life, regain your focus, and become the person you were supposed to be. But tomorrow comes, and somehow the same cycle repeats. You scroll for hours without meaning to. Your motivation disappears halfway through the day. Your energy crashes. Your mind drifts toward distraction even when you desperately want to focus. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin developing a dangerous belief. Maybe I'm just broken. This is the belief silently destroying millions of people. Modern culture teaches you to blame yourself for everything. If you feel exhausted, you call yourself lazy. If you lose focus, you think you lack discipline. If your life feels chaotic, you assume your personality is flawed, so you respond by attacking yourself harder. Mori, pressure, moriguch, more self-criticism, more unrealistic expectations. But what if the problem is not you? What if your life feels broken because the system controlling your mind and body is collapsing underneath you? Because here's the truth. Most self-help advice ignores human beings are not powered by motivation alone. Your behavior is shaped by systems. Your sleep system, your emotional system, your nervous system, your environment, your routines, your dopamine levels, your stress, your relationships. When these systems fall out of alignment, everything begins falling apart together. Focus disappears. Energy weakens. Emotional resilience collapses. Even simple tasks begin feeling emotionally painful. And the worst part is that most people try solving this problem with pure willpower. They try forcing themselves to become productive while sleeping poorly. They try becoming disciplined inside chaotic environments. They try healing emotionally while constantly overstimulating their minds. It never lasts because motivation cannot permanently overpower a dysfunctional system. This video is not about becoming perfect overnight. It is not about hustle culture. It is not about forcing yourself into endless productivity. This is about rebuilding the invisible systems quietly controlling your life. Because once the system changes, your behavior begins changing naturally, and that changes everything. Most people spend their lives believing motivation is the answer to change. They wait for the perfect morning, the perfect emotional state, or the perfect burst of inspiration before finally deciding to transform their lives. But motivation is unstable by nature. It rises and falls, depending on sleep, stress, emotions, energy levels, environment, and countless invisible psychological factors. One day you feel powerful and ambitious, and the next day even simple tasks feel emotionally exhausting. This creates a cycle where people constantly blame themselves for inconsistency, without realizing that the real issue is not character, it is the system underneath their behavior. The modern world encourages people to attack themselves instead of understanding themselves. When productivity disappears, they call themselves lazy. When focus collapses, they assume they lack discipline. When emotional exhaustion arrives, they believe something is wrong with their personality. But psychology shows that human behavior is deeply connected to internal systems. Your nervous system, energy levels, sleep quality, emotional state, and environment shape your ability to act more than motivation ever will. A burned-out mind naturally seeks comfort. An exhausted nervous system resists effort. A chaotic environment creates mental paralysis. Yet people continue trying to overpower these conditions using pure willpower. This is why motivation repeatedly fails. Motivation is emotional. Systems are structural. Motivation disappears during stress, sadness, uncertainty, and fatigue. But systems continue operating, even when emotions fluctuate. A healthy system reduces friction, stabilizes energy, and creates momentum automatically. An unhealthy system silently pushes you toward distraction, procrastination, and emotional collapse. Trying to fix your life with motivation alone is like trying to force a broken engine to run faster. The harder you push, the more exhausted you become. Real change begins when you stop attacking yourself and start repairing the system that controls your energy, habits, and psychological state. Once the system changes, behavior begins changing naturally. That is the foundation of everything this video is trying to teach. If your life feels chaotic, the first thing you must repair is not your ambition, your goals, or your productivity. It is your energy system. And at the center of that system is sleep. Most people underestimate how deeply sleep affects perception, emotional regulation, motivation, discipline, and identity itself. When sleep deteriorates, everything else begins collapsing quietly behind it. Stress feels heavier. Negative thoughts become louder. Emotional resilience weakens. Small problems suddenly feel overwhelming. The brain loses its ability to regulate emotions properly, which makes life appear darker, harder, and more hopeless than it truly is. This is why exalted people often believe their entire lives are broken. In reality, their nervous system is overwhelmed and unable to recover properly. Poor sleep distorts reality. It amplifies anxiety, impulsiveness, emotional instability, and mental fatigue. Even your dopamine system begins malfunctioning, causing motivation to become unstable and inconsistent. The result is a psychological state where the mind constantly seeks stimulation, distraction, or escape because it lacks the internal energy required for focused action. Repairing the system begins with tiny interventions. Sleep at the same time every night. Reduce bright lights before bed. Stop overstimulating your mind late at night with endless scrolling and noise. Create a small nighttime ritual that teaches your nervous system safety and consistency. These actions may appear insignificant, but psychologically they are powerful signals. The body listens to repetition more than intention. When sleep stabilizes, something remarkable begins happening. Your mind becomes quieter. Emotional reactions soften. Energy becomes more reliable. Focus improves naturally. Small tasks stop feeling emotionally impossible. Slowly, the nervous system begins trusting life again. And once the nervous system feels safe, momentum becomes possible. This is why sleep is not just rest. Sleep is psychological repair. It is the foundation upon which every other part of your system depends. Fix the engine first, and the rest of the machine finally has a chance to function correctly. At the end of all this, the most important realization is simple. Your life is not broken because you are weak. It feels broken because your internal systems have fallen out of alignment. Modern life constantly overloads the nervous system with stimulation, stress, distraction, emotional isolation, and exhaustion. Over time, these forces slowly distort energy, habits, motivation, focus, and emotional stability. Most people respond by attacking themselves harder, believing that shame, pressure, and extreme discipline will somehow force transformation. But pressure alone cannot heal a system that is already overwhelmed. Real change begins quietly. It begins when sleep improves slightly, when the body moves again, when one surface becomes organized, when the mind experiences a moment of silence, when a single healthy habit interrupts the chaos. These small actions appear insignificant individually, but psychologically they create signals that reshape the nervous system over time. Momentum is not created through intensity. Momentum is created through alignment. This is why transformation is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It often feels subtle, almost invisible. But small changes compound. A rested mind makes clearer decisions. Clearer decisions create healthier actions. Healthier actions improve emotional stability. Emotional stability increases confidence. Confidence creates momentum.